5 minutes. Mr. Speaker, our military men and women are trained to perform at the highest levels in a host of jobs, and the individuals who serve our nation in uniform do so with distinction. However, there is much more to be done to help our servicemen and women and their families when they return home to translate those skills and experiences into civilian service. And that disconnect is what we are trying to address here today. Our military men and women receive some of the best technical training in emergency medicine, and every day on the battlefield, they prove their skills under the very toughest of conditions. However, when they return home, experienced military medics are often required to start over, and they must begin at entry-level curricula to receive certification for civilian jobs. Similarly, military medics with civilian credentials often must let their civilian certifications lapse while they're defending our country. Either way, this keeps our veterans out of the civilian workforce and withholds valuable medical personnel from our communities. As a nurse, I know the importance of having qualified and capable first responders in each of our communities, and that is why we must do all we can to break down the artificial barriers that obstruct our military medics from civilian opportunities. So I'm pleased to have joined Congressman Kinzinger to introduce H.R. 4124, which is the Veteran Emergency Medical Technician Support Act. This bill is a straightforward, bipartisan approach to help states streamline their certification processes to take military medic training into account for civilian licensure. It's a small but very important step towards breaking down the barriers that our service members face when transitioning home. And while the bill directs states to undertake these demonstration projects, I believe public and private organizations within the states, like Area Health Education Centers, or AHECs, will be important partners in the successful implementation of this initiative. This will help engage and leverage expertise already in our states and communities so that we can do our best by our veterans. I also want to take a moment to thank the leadership of the Energy and Commerce Committee, Chairman Upton, Ranking Member Waxman, Chairman Pitts, Ranking Member Pallone, for their dedication to this bill, and to the staff for working in a bipartisan manner to bring this to the floor. And finally, I want to take a second to recognize a former Congresswoman, Jane Harman, who spearheaded this issue in the last Congress. I urge my colleagues' support for this legislation, and I look forward to swift consideration of it in the Senate. And so at this point, Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman